All right, folks, game week is finally here. It's an opponent we're all not really all that excited about, Charlotte. They just started their program 4 years ago. Louisville's favored by 39.5 points, a spread that I think they will cover. My prediction as far as a score is 62-6. I know that sounds like an unbelievable blowout, which it is. That's a 56-point win. But Charlotte stinks. There's no way around it. You never want to overlook your opponent too much, but when you talk about a program like Charlotte, it's kind of easy to do. And I think it'll be a really high-scoring night for Louisville, not just because they've got a lot of weapons, but I think the second string and maybe possibly some of the third-string guys on offense are capable of putting the ball in the end zone against this Charlotte defense. Also, Lamar Jackson, I think he's going to have a really big game as far as what numbers he puts up. It's tough to say because you got to think he probably won't play much in the second half. But if they turn him loose, meaning they just have the foot on the throat throughout the entire first half, it's not unthinkable to think this guy could still put up a couple hundred yards through the air and a couple hundred yards on the ground if, of course, they have the foot on the pedal. One thing I'm really looking forward to seeing tonight is just the balance. Now, in the end, how much will you really learn in a game when you're taking on a team like Charlotte? I don't know. And it may be a game you kind of just throw away and realize you were playing against a team that just flat out stinks. But I think for this team offensively this year, of course, Lamar Jackson's been talked about more than anybody, but there's a lot of depth. I think there's going to be a lot of balance. When you look at the receivers, the tight ends, and the running backs, I'm not sure if you're going to have one guy that just has an insane amount of statistics. I think it's going to be a lot of balance between all those guys. And one thing to watch tonight is, and you may have to get out your roster and really look at it and focus on it, but to see which freshmen play. Because, of course, as you know, once they get into the game, that burns their red shirt. So which freshmen get in tonight may tell you which guys have a chance of maybe potentially cracking the depth chart throughout the year. But as mentioned, Charlotte stinks. There's no point in really breaking down their personnel. They do have a quarterback, Kevin Olson, a former Miami player who, if you remember, he was supposed to be starting for Louisville when they opened up the ACC a couple of years ago whenever they took on Miami. He was dismissed from the team. He's the younger brother of Greg Olson, the tight end for the Carolina Panthers, was a big-time recruit. This will be his first game, so he is expected to be pretty good, but as far as what's around him, I'm not sure. Don't overlook the statistics for Charlotte. I did some looking into them this week, and you look at the game notes from Charlotte, and they list off like 3 or 4 guys that have school records for rushing, passing, and all that. And that's such a silly statistic to mention because, of course, you're going to have a school record when the program's only existed for 4 years. If you're a senior and you've been running the ball for 4 years, there's nobody else that's going to have more rushing yards than you. So Charlotte stinks. There's no way around it. And also, if Charlotte does, as mentioned, I predict 62-6. Now, if it ends up being 14-40, that's still a sizable win. You don't cover the spread. Let's not overreact. There's really not going to be a whole lot you can learn about your team from this game. There's little things I think you can watch and maybe take from. But also, let's not overreact to if it's closer than you like. But also, let's not overreact to if they do win 62-6, because it'll be nice to see. It'll be a step in the right direction, a good way to get the season started. But you're doing it against nobody. It doesn't really mean a whole lot. So we'll have the postgame show on 790 KRD, the Coors Light Red Zone Reaction U of L postgame show will start right after the Bobby Petrino press conference this evening. Make sure you guys check that out. You can give us a call, 571-7900. That is the number. Everybody enjoy the game tonight. Tailgate, get in your seats at kickoff. Well, I feel bad even telling you to do that because, as mentioned, it's going to be a boring game for the most part. Maybe you shouldn't say boring, but as Charlotte stinks. There's no way around it. Your opponent is far inferior to U of L. They're going to blow them out. It'll be fun to see because we're kicking off the season, but as mentioned, I don't really know what you're going to learn from that game. But as also, reminder, tune in to the postgame show, 790 KRD, right after the Bobby Petrino press conference.